This story is one of the most famous real-life stories that took place in Egypt in 2022, and it's impossible for anyone who hears its shocking details caused by obsession and greed to forget it. In June 2022, at 11 a.m. in front of Mansoura University gates in Egypt, among the crowd of students and moving cars, people were shocked to witness a scene where a young man was chasing a girl, repeatedly stabbing her with a knife he held in his hand. As she fell to the ground after the deep and fatal stabs she received, the young man slits her throat. All this took place in plain view and within earshot of the people present on the street. Nayira Ashraf was a student gifted with great beauty, and she was studying at Mansoura University. Among her classmates was a young man named Muhammad Adil, who grew up in a humble family. Surprisingly, he was an exceptionally high-achieving student, well known among both students and professors. Due to their professors' trust in him, they tasked him with the responsibility of collecting research papers from his classmates. This led Muhammad to have direct connections with most students. Alongside his studies, he worked as a chef in several restaurants. After being immediately apprehended for killing his fellow student Nayira in the street, he confessed to the police, stating that he had been planning to kill Nayira for a long time. Also, if he could turn back time, he claimed that he would repeat his actions. He also revealed that the motive behind this was his emotional attachment to her, who in turn played with his feelings, hurt him, and continuously threatened him and his family, leading him to commit the crime. After providing the statements at the police station, Muhammad also reenacted his crime before the police. However, he was a very smart liar, distorting all the facts and events to gain society's sympathy, portraying himself as a victim rather than a perpetrator. Throughout the investigations, the police uncovered all the written conversations between Muhammad and Nayira, in addition to the testimonies of 25 individuals, including their friends, family, and colleagues. Through this, the police managed to reveal the complete truth and the real reason that drove Muhammad to commit this heinous act. So, they managed to know the true relationship between Muhammad Adil and Nayira Ashraf. The story began in 2020, when Nayira Ashraf was a first-year university student and she had a unique beauty. Additionally, she was a very ambitious individual, dreaming of much brighter future than the reality her family lived. Unfortunately for Nayira, during her first year at university, she encountered the devil Muhammad Adil, who happened to be studying in the same department as her. From the very first moment he saw her, Muhammad developed a strong emotion for Nayira. His every thought revolved around how he could get closer to her. After careful consideration, he decided to exploit his assignment from professors to collect research papers from fellow students, including Nayira, as a means to approach her. Muhammad indeed contacted her and offered his assistance with the required research without her requesting it from him. And as his offer didn't raise any suspicions or concern, Nayira agreed to it. However, over time she noticed that Muhammad treating her differently, expressing admiration and desire to be in a relationship with her. Despite Nayira's rejection to him, Muhammad persisted, attempting to obtain her phone number through a WhatsApp group and annoying her with endless calls and messages. Nayira found his behavior odd, so she blocked his number, but this didn't stop him. Instead, he escalated his efforts through social media, sending numerous messages asking her for a chance through many fake accounts he created. Nayira was confused by Muhammad's persistence, and she maintained her focus on her life and career as a model, repeatedly asking him to respect her will of not wanting to get in any relationship at that time. However, her words didn't stop this human devil. And when Nayira grew tired of him, she informed him that she was currently working in Cairo and had no intention of going to the university because she wanted him to leave her alone and to inform him that their lives were very different from each other. However, Muhammad's obsession of her made him interpret her words as the beginning of a romantic relationship between them. So, he granted himself the right to intrude into Nayira's life and actions. He began contacting her about her work, sending messages mostly expressing his jealousy, and he even discovered her workplace in Cairo and started visiting it, searching for her. Despite Nayira's attempts to distance herself and blocking him on various applications, Muhammad was resistant to her rejection. His obsession led him to create multiple fake accounts on Facebook and Instagram to spy on her, and his infatuation reached to the point where he publicly claimed to be in a relationship with Nayira, despite the falsehood of this statement. He even approached her family for asking to marry her, but they rejected him, of course, as Nayira herself had refused and informed them of her current focus on her career as a model. The situation then escalated further when his pursuit of her became intrusive, as he started appearing in the same places Nayira frequented, tracking her every move. And even he followed her to her house, attempting to force her into a taxi against her will on one occasion. And when Nayira noticed this, especially since she was aware that he was mentally unstable, she screamed and called for her father, who quickly came out of their house and confronted Muhammad, initially arguing about his harassment to Nayira. However, Nayira's father later tried to calmly talk to Muhammad, explaining that his actions wouldn't change Nayira's opinion, and asked them to consider Nayira just as a sister. And he urged Muhammad to stay away from her, and not to bother or approach her again. However, Muhammad interpreted Nayira's father's words as approval of his relationship with Nayira. Despite being asked to treat her like a sister, Muhammad believed that Nayira's father indirectly supported him, reinforcing his obsession with her. Each time Nayira tried to distance herself from Muhammad, his determination and the obsession with her grew, as if it had turned into a challenge for him. Subsequently, he not only went after her everywhere, but also involved her family and friends, seeking their help to convince Nayira to be with him, and they of course rejected helping him. Muhammad then resorted to threaten one of Nayira's friends, instilling fear in her to gain her assistance to get to Nayira. However, the girl was aware of his abnormal behavior, so she reported him to the police. This incident became widely known among Nayira's university classmates and family, labeling Muhammad as an abnormal person. At this point, Nayira's family decided not to remain silent in the face of his behaviors, so they filed multiple reports against Muhammad to put an end to his harassment to their daughter Nayira. Subsequently, Muhammad started directly threatening Nayira in his messages. He also clearly stated, "Don't dream that you can be with anyone other than me," alongside threats and words that became a part of Nayira's life since her first year at the university. Despite Nayira and her family's numerous attempts to distance Muhammad from her, Nayira's family sought communication with Muhammad's family to stop him. So, they held a customary session, attended by Muhammad and his family at Nayira's family home. During this session, Muhammad promised in front of everyone that he wouldn't follow or harass Nayira again. However, his feelings toward Nayira transformed from obsession and love to hatred, anger, and a desire for revenge to his dignity. After this customary session, Muhammad resumed sending threatening messages of murder, burning, and destroying Nayira's life to Nayira. He also told her that he would make her wish for death, with repeated threats of slaughtering. Aware of Muhammad's abnormal behaviors, Nayira's family urged her not to attend university to prevent him from harassing her. Despite her inner fear, Nayira reassured her mother that she knew Muhammad wouldn't harm her, as he had been repeating the same threats for years. In reality, Muhammad spent a whole year planning the day he would kill Nayira, based on his confessions to the police. He decided after careful thought to choose the knife as a murder weapon due to his proficiency in the knife skills gained from working as a chef in various restaurants. After Muhammad concluded his deliberation on the murder weapon, he began selecting the date for executing his crime. He chose first day of final exams because it was the only time he could ensure Nayira's presence at the university. A week before carrying out the plan, Muhammad purchased a new knife specifically designed for slaughtering animals. He also chose to kill her in front of all the students at the university. After the week passed, university exams began, and Muhammad stood by the university gates each day, waiting for Nayira to arrive, with the knife ready in his pocket. However, in the first 4 days, he couldn't execute his plan for various reasons. But on the 5th day, specifically on November 20th, he decided to carry out his crime no matter what. He insisted on it, taking advantage of Nayira's false sense of security during the initial days of her return to university. Nayira, as usual, headed to the college gate at that day. While walking, Muhammad pulled out the knife, stabbing her in the back, and immediately her friends screamed for help. When people tried to intervene and stop him from stabbing her again, Muhammad threatened to kill anyone approaching. He continued stabbing Nayira in various parts of her body, 19 times, until she fell to the ground. At that moment, Muhammad decided to end her life by slitting her throat in front of all the shocked people in the street. On June 14, 2023, 1 year after the crime, the death penalty was executed on Muhammad Aidel. And as usual, see you in the next video.